Hello, welcome to the Turret of Pleasure here in the Enchanted Kingdom of Hermione. I'm sitting here, I just did a little stint of moving CDs along, which is exhausting for me. And I haven't had much to do videos about, so I haven't sort of said much. However, got some new stuff. So, just tell you what I bought recently. I just turned 65, and you know what that means? Gift certificates to my local hipster record store, which is, of course, Ditch Records, which is a great record store. A great, well, CD store for me. I only buy CDs there, but sometimes I buy books there because they have a pretty good selection of pre owned books about music and musicians. And every once in a while, I find the damnedest thing there, and I found this. Now, Paul Bley is a Canadian jazz pianist who started way back in the bop era and quickly moved to New York and pretty much stayed there. But he was really a under the radar kind of guy. Um, but one of the things he's famous for is he introduced the world to Ornette Coleman and Don Cherry one night in Los Angeles when his band, which consisted of Charlie Hayden, Billy Higgins, and vibraphonist Dave Pike and Paul Bley. They were playing at a place called the Hillcrest Club. I think it was Billy said, "Hey, can my friends sit in?" And Ornette said, "Okay, fine." Or Paul Bley said, "Sure, okay, fine." And the rest is history. He just said, "Wow," and and they played for a few weeks. They fired poor old Dave Pike, who went on to bigger and better things. Um, Hired Ornette and Don. Immediately the sound changed. Immediately the owner didn't like them anymore. And ultimately they ended up getting fired. And Ornette went back east, and ultimately so did Paul Bley. But not together. I don't think they ever actually played together again. But Bley is an interesting guy, and he made among one of the things that he first came across my radar when I first started hearing the ECM records that were coming out in the 70s. And one of his records, Open to Love, came out. And I remember it being kind of very soft and pastel, and it didn't knock me out. It required your full attention, which I'm a little bit ADD when it comes to stuff like that. But I kind of never thought about him. Anyway, this is a terrific book. He was married to Carla Bley, aka Karen Krog, back when she was just a kid. She was a cigarette girl in some nightclub. And he really championed her compositions. And Carla Bley, who just died recently, not a half a year ago, uh, at a ripe old age, luckily, gave us a lot of great jazz compositions. Just countless great jazz compositions. And they were married for a few years. I think they were married for 5 or 6 or 7 years. And when they split up, he hooked up with, of all people, Annette Peacock, which was his buddy Gary Peacock's now ex-wife, girlfriend, whatever. And he championed a lot of her compositions. And strictly in sort of a piano trio, kind of like a weird Bill Evans. Hard to describe his sound. Played a lot of trios. Played a great trio. Anyway, I bought this book. I said I looked at my head like I had two CDs, or actually I had two records. I had Open to Love still. I still have a copy, and I had found this a while back, Steve Swallow and Pete LaRocca. Good record, and this has some Carla on it. I got this for about $5. It's a Japanese, little vinyl reissue with the Obi strip. Who's not going to buy that? And it's really good. Good piano trio jazz. And for whatever reason, I'm getting back into piano trios. Can't really tell you why. Anyway, I with my gift certificates from my birthday, I figured I'll go and buy some stuff Price be damned. And one of the things was this, which is ECM has reissued. It was ECM number 10. I remember from my youth because I once, when I was a young man, wanted to own all the ECM records. And at that time, they had about 100 out. And I damn near did it. And this was one I never got. It was hard to find. And Eugene Chadbourne, my buddy, has very bad things to say about this record. He says it's... Belay in his book mentions he was, at this point in time, trying to be the world's slowest pianist. Chadbourne, look at these gloomy people. These people aren't having fun. And I'm not sure this record is about having fun. It's taken me a couple of listens to penetrate it. The more I listen, the more I like it. So I'm going to keep playing it. It's a funny record. I played it quite loud, and it was different. So if you let it fade into the background, I think it's less effective. Anyway, Paul Bley, I have a little bit of a research. I've been watching all kinds of... He got into the synthesizers early on, and while it was very revolutionary then, you listen to it today and it's not so great. And some of it's downright terrible. And he kind of was, I don't know, he was kind of all over the place for just a few years. And finally, at some point in his book, he says, I said, that's it. He had a fire. And his synthesizer got all melted and burned up. And he risked his life to save the stupid thing. And he's like, I don't know why I did this, because he made up his mind he was just going to play the piano. And he put out countless piano records after this, all of which are different but similar, all of which are worth hearing once. Like the guy. The fact that he's Canadian is kind of a bonus for me. But and what I bought, actually about three things I bought with my gift certificates. We finally, how did we stand the wait? We have the last word. Okay, folks, this apparently is it. This is all you need for Space is the Place. Not only do you get the movie on Blu-ray, you also get it on DVD. Now, I looked at both. There is not one iota of difference in quality between the two, because, of course, the original quality of this is not so great, which is completely beside the point. This movie is great. Anybody who's even remotely interested in Sun Ra needs to at least see this movie. This was a lot like $60 Canadian, but it has the aforementioned DVD. It has the aforementioned Blu-ray. It has the soundtrack, Space is the Place. What they don't tell you, nowhere is it mentioned anywhere in any of the reviews I've read of this or anything, is that CD1 is a clone of the Evidence Records Space is the Place soundtrack. It's exactly the same CD. I already have that. Okay, I can give it to a friend. CD number 2 is more interesting because it is indeed unreleased material. Most of it is the sort of declamations they make in the movie where Ra will say something and then Tyson will repeat it for emphasis and perhaps to show her obedience. But we don't know. At any rate, it's for fans only. I'm a fan. I'm glad to have it. It comes in this, I love how they call it the pizza box, which it is. It's cheap. No Japanese company would be doing this, I'll tell you. It comes with a booklet that, like I say, doesn't mention the fact that this first disc was available on Evidence. And there's John Zwed does a thing, and John Zwed wrote what is probably the definitive book on Sun Ra. So he writes an essay, and they're good essays. They're nothing that the kind of person who's going to buy this for the second CD is the kind of guy that's already read Zwed's book. So none of this is news. There's also, and it looks like this company who has put this out is called, what are they called again? Modern Harmonic? And they appear to be a subsidiary of Sundazed. And Sundazed, I'm not sure if Sundazed is actually owned by a major label or not. I kind of thought they were. I'm not sure why I thought that. There doesn't appear to be anything here that hints at a major label. Now, not that this would make a lot of difference to me. However, I'd love to know who's getting the money from this. Um, Apparently, there's a couple of videos, extra videos in the DVD slash Blu-ray, which are identical programs, by the way. Um, and he talks about being the LLC, so I guess he's the sort of legal representative for the estate of Sun Ra. And I'd love to know where these royalties end up. I sure hope they end up with Marshall Allen and the orchestra, but if they don't, it would not surprise me for a second. Expensive CD of this trip was $27, then known as Dollar Brand. Of course, we all know him as Abdullah Ibrahim, African Sketchbook, recorded in Switzerland, 1969, on a pretty not bad sounding piano sound. This guy, everything he did, now this era, I love this era of Dollar Brand. I still call him Dollar Brand sometimes because that's how I knew him forever. And I guess the best way to call it is township piano. But he's sort of like Keith Jarrett in that he just continuously improvises, never stops, goes through all kinds of giant, like he's a big Ellington fan. And him and Ellington sort of had a mutual appreciation of each other's stuff. And so, but there's a lot of, you can hear the Africa in it. It's just spellbinding piano playing, swirls of things going in different time signatures, and then, a really slow, soulful kind of chord song where it's just big blocks of giant gospel chords. I can't recommend this guy's solo stuff highly enough from his early days. I mean, he had a record on Reprise. Frank Sinatra signed this guy. I've never heard that record. I'd love to hear it. This Inja stuff is hard to find. I know the records are around. They were pretty good pressings, German pressings. But this on CD from a Japanese company, remastered, blah, 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 blah. I can jam it into my car, which I am going to do post-haste. And it was a gift, so I said, yep, I'm buying it. Thanks. Now, the rest of the shit is all thrift store stuff, for the most part. And this is all from our local thrift store in Souk. The only thrift store. What the heck are they called again? Can't remember the official name. But they're your typical small town thrift store. Lovely people helping the community. And it's a thrift store. These guys, how much are CDs? They're a quarter. Great. Okay, so for a quarter, I'm going to buy 2 of the Cafe Del Mar series. Now, Volume 6. I think I've got Volume 1, and I might have another one. These are, now, are these 2 CDs or 1 CD? I seem to remember them being 2 CDs, but maybe I'm wrong. This one is single CD. Okay, and so is this. These are dance music, techno, whatever you want to call it, compilations compiled by Jose Padilla. Is that one? I don't know who he is. This one is printed white on white, so they're not going to tell me. Luke Neville and Ben Sherrill. There you go. Now, I'm assuming these guys are some kind of authorities. There is almost no familiar names. Goldfrapp I've heard of. Digby Jones Sculpture. Lamb. There's a song called Gabriel. Telvin Singh I've heard of. Anyways, Mandalay. I love these because they're actually pretty good. And I like everything. I don't listen to a lot of techno. These are great in the car. And one of them had a John Martin track on it, which is cool. So I'm into it. I found this. I haven't played it yet, but this brings back memories of my earliest musical memories. Are the album called The Slightly Fabulous Limelighters, which I think is a little bit before this one. But their show was very liberal, very, this is 1960. Well, actually, this is before. I think Slightly Fabulous was 62. And these guys were really good. They were folk with a capital F. Glenn Yarborough had that great tenor. Alex Hasselieff played the bass, and he was an early synthesizer pioneer. And what's his name? Lou Gottlieb. He was a really good banjo player. And they were really popular for a hot minute before the Beatles. And my mom and dad had Slightly Fabulous, and I can recite huge chunks of that record like poetry, and it's still a pretty damn good record. I've got at least 2 copies of it on vinyl somewhere because I find it the garbage. This was a dime. It's broken, but it works. I don't have any James. I know that Brian Eno. I had a record called Wah Wah, but it was the extra record with the mixes. It was okay. Somebody offered me a ton of money for it, so I sold it. And so that's I figured if that's any good at all, I'll put it in the car. 10 cents. And you know what? It's on Fontana, and I like Fontana because whatever. This I have no idea. I will report later. But now, I'm like a fish with a lure in the water when I'm in a thrift store. I'll be looking at the spines. Bing, 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 bing. Now I come across this spine. Now this spine indicates black with a slash white. Okay, this is going to be something that's on the, is it the Fantasy Music Group, I believe? The people that own Fantasy, Prestige, Milestone, yeah, this is Fantasy, right. The vast majority of anything with this spine is going to be worth at least pulling out and looking at. Now this is Specialty Records, which a label that I've sort of forgotten about. And this is Pachuco Hop by Chuck Higgins, a saxophonist, as the British would say. 1-chord instrumental. I'm going to guess that has 1 chord. I have no idea what this sounds like. I'll guarantee it's great in the car. It was a dime. It's been, let's see. It has gotten wet at some point in its history. Will it? No. This is the worst. It probably got dropped in the toilet, you say. Oh, look at that. Magic. Oh. Rescued from the bin. There you go. Chuck Higgins in performance. You know what? Now, I've listened to a lot of music. I haven't got a clue who Chuck Higgins is. I've never heard of Pachuco Hop. Oh, Jimmy Nolan. I've heard of him. There you go. For a dime. Or a quarter. Depends. It might have been half price days, so then they're like 12 cents. But at any rate, and this was there, and I was like, what? I'll buy this, and it's good. Lee Ronaldo. Now, I am not a huge Sonic Youth fan. I think their best record is Bad Moon Rising, which I still think is a pretty good record. I'm not a huge Kim Gordon fan. But I thought Lee Ronaldo was kind of interesting, if maybe kind of overly arty. This is a bunch of lo-fi stuff he did in his bedroom, 1981 to 91. I got at least halfway through this before I had to go do something, but I liked all of it. And I'm gonna throw this in the car, and I'll bet this will be one of those CDs that it comes on, you're in shuffle mode, and you think, uh-oh, what's wrong with my car? So that's good. Let's keep you on your toes. Okay, finally, for the end of this video, the further saga of my relationship with the evil Rhino Empire. Now, as you know, I'm a quad nut, if you watch this channel at all, and I welcome with open arms the new Quadio series that Rhino is putting out of what looks to be almost exclusively Warner Electro-Atlantic stuff. Red Octopus is the exception. Now the bastards, and I am their sucker, but they won't. You gotta buy these fucking things from Rhino, and if you're a Canadian, well, I mean you're an alien, right? You might as well be trying to order them from Mars. So when you order them from Canada, the postage immediately, I think, triples. There's a couple of mystery charges that I never did get to the bottom of. I think one of them is a $10 charge that the post office gets for calculating how much the GST and PST is, which you then also have to pay. Anyway, they turn out to be, they're $24.95 US. Not bad. I would pay that. Fine. But by the time they get up here, now I bought the whole lot of them 2 lots ago. They've been putting them out in lots of 4. And they say, buy 4, get 1 free. Oh. Well, that ended up being a lot like, $40 or $45 Canadian each. Then I said, well, fuck this. These are too expensive, and I don't really want Red Octopus. By Starship, no, I haven't played it yet. I'm sure it sounds great, but it'll be for when I'm testing my system or something. And the Jay Giles record is, I don't know. Anyway, for the next batch, I only bought the Mingus Moves. It's wonderful. When they do it, when it's good, it's great. So then the new one, it was like, same thing. Buy 3. Okay, well, there was War. Anyway, I still haven't got the 4th one. This is the thing that annoys the hell out of me. There is no communication with these people. So I order 4. I pay $150 Canadian for 4 Quadio CDs. So you figure that out. What is that? $36 or I don't know. Anyway, but we got on tap Gil Evans Svengali. Now, not only is it Gil Evans Svengali, I've never heard this record, believe it or not. It had never crossed my radar. And then that came, the first batch was that, and the Average White Band, which is actually great. And it brings back great memories, sounds wonderful in quad. I played the whole damn thing. Poor old Robbie McIntosh. I remember for years and years it was like, oh yeah, their drummer died of a heroin overdose. Yeah, people said, hey, you want to do some lines of coke? And boy, back in the day. So almost like an original fentanyl death. Too bad, because I don't think they were really doing good and they were partying a bit, but I don't think they were. He was made out to be some kind of junkie, which he wasn't, I don't think. Great band. And they made a bunch of, like, if you can find their vinyl cheap, it's great for a dance party. So there was that. And that came with Svengali. Now, Svengali has some great stuff on it. Dave Sanborn is all over this record, and he plays his ass off. Ted Dunbar plays guitar, and he actually really steps out on this record, which I'm happy, because he plays on the 3rd Tony Williams record, and he's stepping into a role that was John McLaughlin. So, that's gonna be like, oh, okay, I gotta replace that guy. Here he is, his own man, and this is a really good record. And it's I had never heard it. It just kind of snuck out in the mid-'70s, and it came up before the Jimi Hendrix record, which I've had for years, and I have in a quadradisc. That would also be nice in quad. The quad, by the way, the quad in all these is really good. It's just, the Mingus was amazing. So that came in, and the Average White Band came in. And then the other day, the other one, the main one I wanted was this. Now this is his best album, and it's a squirmy record, boy. I've been holding off. I haven't played it in quad yet. Just got it yesterday, but I'm gonna wait until I can play the whole thing, all the way through. Nobody at home, not at a loud volume. This is not a loud record, but it's a real thought-provoking record, and it was done a long time ago, 1974. So what is that now? 84, 94, 04. That's like 50 years ago. And there's a lot in this record that still holds true. Anyways, I had a vinyl copy. I don't think I had a vinyl copy in quad. So that's a delight to get this in quad. But Rhino, when the 2 came, it didn't say your next tour on the way, or it didn't say anything. Previously this had happened with the first 4-pack. They sent me 3, and I'm like, okay, where's the other one? No contact, no note, back order, nothing like this. So it's really annoying, and when they're that bloody expensive, it's, I don't know. So yeah, I will still buy these damn things. Provided the titles, like they put out America, I Don't Want America. They put out the Spinners, if it was cheap. And here's the thing. Now this one, I'm going to give them credit, because most of these there's not a lot to them in the packaging, which, it would be nice to have maybe a little essay about the record in retrospect, maybe. And I noticed there's not hardly any, like most of these had quad remix engineering credits. They all come with this, which is redundant. It's cute. This came on the inside of the quadra discs. I noticed that you can't say quadra disc anywhere, so I'm assuming that every one of these also comes with this. And that's cool for the tape nerds. Yep, great, okay. And then this one comes with, I mean, that's it for the liner notes. Then the thing beside it is Blu-ray disc mastered using the original 4-track quad mixes as the source material, blah, 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 blah. Produced for release by Steve Woolard, mastering and Blu-ray authoring Craig Anderson, but it doesn't say who actually mixed the quad mix. And a lot of the time it's not. It says mixing Bobby Warner, Lou Hahn, Mark Abramson. But I can guarantee you somebody different did the quad mix. And because that was often the case, certainly with the CBS recordings, there's always a different crew doing quad mixes. So that's a little bit annoying. The AWB, you know, and like, and the previous ones, the Black Sabbath, Paranoid, you know. But this one, I got to give them some credit this time because I was a little bit ticked off that, well, I'll tell you what, this is really nerdy, but Atlantic Quad Records didn't use these colors. It was like purple and brown, I think it was. And they, of course, had the Quadradisc logo. Now, I get it. They probably can't use the Quadradisc logo for some kind of stupid copyright reason, but it would have been nice if the attention to detail extended to getting the colors on the labels right. Oh, that's such a nerdy thing to whine about. But yeah, that's it. But I was wondering, because I remember this one came with some liner notes and stuff, lyrics, and they do include them. So props. They do include them. There's the same thing. Yeah. Then there's the lyrics, and they sort of, oh, I see. Ho ho. They snuck in the one-page tape box. So the tape nerds are happy. I could have cared less, but whatever. They do give you a proper set of credits and everything. So they don't scrimp. There's no extras. I know there's a deluxe version of this out that I've sort of missed. That I don't know what it has for extra stuff. I haven't even looked. It would have been nice if that was maybe a 3 CD with this in it, but whatever. Happy to have it. Anyway, that's what I found recently that's been of any interest. Been watching a lot. The Paul Bley obsession had me watching tons of the stuff he did with Annette Peacock and his synthesizer, which is nuts. It's really weird shit. Some of it isn't very good. Annette Peacock has a real reputation that I'm still trying hard to penetrate. But we'll get around to her later, maybe. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and everything. I'm working on a crazy stop frame video of the big move, both here at the studio. I've been doing a lot of that, putting together a new drum set, all kinds of weird stuff. But we'll get back at you with other stuff later. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later.